Hi there, traders. How you going there, Paul? Hope you're doing well, mate. Hanging in there, surviving. G'day, Alan. How are we all going, guys? Pretty dead day today if you're watching the markets here and you're involved in the ASX at the moment. Not much happening. I think the market's been oscillating between up, down, up 2 points, down 2 points. It hasn't done too much, which is probably expected. I think the SPY pretty much finished flat for the night. Not a big lead from the US. Anytime it does go up, it's got to go up pretty hard for us to do too much anyway. A couple of good sessions. How are you, Helen? A couple of good sessions on the ASX actually. The last couple of days, not too bad. Bounced off a bit of major support, so yeah, things seem to be changing each day on the actual the old ASX. So interesting. We've got reporting season coming out in the US. Sorry, coming out. That's starting, I think, tonight with the release of the I think the banks like Goldman and Merrill's and all that. Releasing reporting tonight. So I think they kick off before the market. So it'd be interesting to see how it all goes. I don't think they're expecting the same sort of returns from the S&P as what they've got previously. I think they're somewhere around 4 to 5%, as opposed to previous. I think previous quarters were around 8-9%. So we'll see how that goes, and we'll see how the market takes us. If it looks like they're running out of steam, companies are not quite doing as well as they expect. That could be a bit of a reason why they could be starting to see some more sell-offs in the US, and then see if that flows through to us over here. Anyway, let's get into it. We'll get into it now. So anyone that's new or watches this later on, you can join us on Twitter, the top left-hand corner. That's how, if you search there, trade_setup. It has to be underscore for some reason. You'll get us on Twitter, and there'll be all sorts of stuff that we, I find relevant that I've been following. We'll tweet that, and join us on Facebook, which is much of the same sort of stuff. And then bottom right on YouTube, sorry, subscribe to us on YouTube, and you'll get anytime we go live with anything at all. You'll get that. Also, our general advice warning, which I'm guessing you've read before. So let's get into it. Today, I'm just really going to go over a few stocks, I think. We'll just go over a few things that I've been watching, a few that I've missed the boat on. If anyone was listening on... was it Monday? We mentioned WHA. Go and have a look at that now if you haven't already. It's kicked us about 10% today, I think, at the moment. So it's really kicking on strong. It's probably more. So we'll see. There's a few that have kicked on without us, and a few that we've actually got in and hasn't done too much. So it's a bit of a messy market, but we'll see. What else can we talk about? That's pretty much it. I just want to go over a few stocks, have a look at where the US is situated. It hasn't really changed too much from Monday. A couple of down days and an update up session overnight. So it's pretty much neutral, just probably kicking around until reporting season kicks off. We get a bit more into reporting season. Not much happening on the Trump front with regards to tax. He keeps talking it up, but nothing's getting done. That's as usual. Nothing really happening on the North Korea front either at the moment to really spook the market. Not that it's getting spooked anyway by that. It seems to be that anytime they talk it up a bit, they're just pushing it aside, not even really reacting to that anything out of North Korea at the moment. So we'll see. Probably everyone's just sitting around waiting for a war, but we'll see how that goes. Now let's get across. I'll transition now. I'll drop that. And we'll be up and running. There you go. Can you see everything there, guys? I'll have a sip of my coffee. How are we all faring today? We're up 2.4 points. We're about 25 points below that 5,800 mark at the moment. So it seems to be that we want to hold below there at the moment, which is probably... let's look at the ASX now. We'll go to a 6 monthly... Oh, maybe a bit longer than that. Yeah. All right. So that's your ASX. It's pretty much, you can see, since about June, pretty much the start of financial year is July, wasn't it? Done nothing. It's just gone sideways. So it's been holding up above 56.50. You sort of got a key level around 58 at the moment, 5,800. So we're edging up above there. And this is the kind of price action. It is choppy, range bound. You start looking like you're rolling over. You hold up at support. You build a lower high, and then you blast straight through it. And we're heading up to sort of that lower high there at, what was it, 57.77. We're about on that now at the moment. So as long as we're holding below 58, it's just range bound between 56.50, 58, 150 points. But there is opportunity to trade, but it's a tougher market. You've got to go to the smaller caps that just run, and sometimes they're very hard to pick. when they're going to go. They don't set up as clean. They just bang off and running with some news releases and things like that. So, bit of a tougher market at the moment. CBA, yeah, CBA. I haven't had a good run on the banks, to be honest. I actually don't like them. Just generally don't like banks, I think. Let's just get those up. Yeah, this whole price structure was looking a bit negative. Well, not so much when we were trading, was it Westpac and ANZ. A couple of shorts on there. They're looking great, and they just turned around and pushed back up, just retraced on us. So the structure wasn't really holding. It's more just, stuck, like the ASX, stuck in ranges. It's sort of just going to be choppy until something happens. Let's get over to what we're looking at, the ASX. So that's your weekly on the ASX. I mean, this week doesn't look too bad, but that could easily roll over. But it looks like, potentially it's going to be a longer term. If we start to push out above 58, that would be awesome. I think that's going to take us up and through 6,000, but I just can't see that happening until the US backs off a bit. That's sort of my thoughts at the moment. Until the US has a bit of a pullback and take some steam out of their market, I don't know why we would kick above. We're a tentative market at the best of times. So, yeah, okay. Sorry, I just had a little message pop up there. So we're a tentative market at the best of times, so I just don't see us taking off when the US is pulling back. You've got the rest of the world, like the FTSE. Well, let's look at the Dow. Look at that. That's your weekly chart. That's kicking on. Extended at the moment, but can easily stay extended. What else we got? The FTSE. That's look like it's climbing back out. You can see that this price action here, you got higher low here on the weekly, another higher low, that key level at 71 we've talked about. It's contracted lower, but it's still held that trend. And this is what flushes people out a lot. It doesn't break the trend down. It doesn't break the trend that's the uptrend, is what I'm trying to say. It actually just contracts. So people get caught with these lower highs. In context of what's happening, you just got to be wary of what's happening. The key level is at 71. You get these lower highs. There's no real reason just to sell out until you break that higher low, the 7100. Say as an example on the FTSE. So that looks like the market has squeezed out a few of these late buys in here, squeezed them out of the market, and that could be heading higher. We'll have to see how that plays out. The DAX, that's right up. It's struggling sort of up at this resistance zone, just below 13,000. Sorry. So we'll see what happens there. But, these markets are still looking fairly positive. The S&P, that's positive. So, yeah, if they do roll over, I can't see us pushing up. But, we'll just see how we go. Yeah, that's true. All right. So, what are we going to look at now? So, I just want to kick off on a few that we've been looking at. We'll start off and we'll open it up a bit more. We can always talk about some intraday stuff. I was having a look at some setups on the... I don't know if anyone trades a SPY out there, intraday. But that was interesting just looking at... You sort of have to treat that a little bit different than you're treating stocks if you do intraday trade. If you tried both, intraday trading is a bit of a tougher gig. They tend to wash out and run a bit more than your stocks do. Your stocks can set up quite cleanly, whereas it's harder to trade the SPY. But it was interesting. It's interesting just getting used to these little intricacies. It always can help your trading just to see what's happening and where the buyers and sellers could be stacking up. So could talk about that later on if we've got time. Otherwise, might just leave it. But what I'll get into now is just go over a few stocks I've got listed here at the moment. We'll start off with WHA. Did anyone get on board that? I stuffed it basically and completely... I completely missed it. So that's WHA. We spoke about this breaking through that 97. Basically, it hasn't looked back. I was going to alert that on a breakthrough 97. And you can look at the volume the last 2 days. Look at that volume pickup. I mean, that's a massive difference, isn't it? That's just kicked straight up. So that's a beautiful little buying opportunity that's gone to waste, which is... yeah, it hurts, doesn't it, Helen? It hurts me when I see things like that. And what I liked about this, and this is one thing to take note of, it was a tougher one because it was sort of lacking the volume, but when things are good, the volume comes in. It's not really too much of a concern. Let's just look at... Now this is what I was looking at. You've got that beautiful little, you know, structure there. You've got this little washout of that key support. It's not really a key support, but it's more of a bit of a pullback. It's come and washed that level out, only minorly, if that's a word. Crying here. There's two of us, but I'm on camera. Look at a bit of a... Anyway, talking rubbish now. So you can see that's the beauty of this. Look at the amount of time it's spent sort of chopping around here. It's held these lower highs, and that's really just washing out this last little extended leg up. That was quite a powerful leg after the previous month, pretty much near a month, doing nothing. You know, going sideways essentially around that 60 cent mark, and had a couple of sessions, whatever drove that higher. Whether it's on the back of news, I'm not sure. But that sort of went sideways, and then bang, within about 3 or 4 sessions, it's traded up to 110. So that did it quick and, you know, really fast and hard. So what this market has done is just washing out a few of these late buyers in here and just putting them back on the sidelines for more supply to go back into the market later on. But another thing is that, so it spent a lot of time doing that, good part of a couple of months just before it broke out of that contraction, which is sort of the end of last month. But what it's also done, it hasn't had a deep correction, which is also nice. It's a good sign of strength. And that really is just a sign that buyers are happy to step in at higher prices. They like this stock for whatever reason, whether it's technically or fundamentally, they like it. They're holding price up at higher levels. And it's really just sort of a retest of that 70 also. You can see just in there. And that's where that breakout zone. So it spent a lot of time building that structure, which is really nice. And once you got this breakout of contraction higher, from here, at this stage, before that green candle, you don't know which way it's going. It could have headed south from there and, you know, got up, retest that sort of downtrend line, and then headed south, broke through that breakout zone at 70, and then you've got a lot more time up your sleeve before you have to, before it potentially sets up again. But instead, it broke out, and that's what we love to see. So you're sort of confident on which direction it's heading. It's all about the setup after that. And we got that setup with this little... You can see a fair few days, bang, bang, just contracting lower, washing out 90, then bang, up she goes. So that was another good sort of sign that once we get up through 97, it was going to be on. Didn't think it was going to be on that hard, to be honest. It's just blown up through $1.10. But if you put that in context of what's happened in the past, a few days, maybe we're going to struggle 120, 25. We might have another pop up to that level as buyers, just the latecomers to the party, feel they've missed out. Or this thing could go quite a bit if you measure that from, was it 30 up to $1.10, that's say 80 cents, is that right? Take it from say 70 takes us $1.50, so there could be quite a bit of fat left in this, if that's the case. But we'll see how that plays out, but it's beautiful. It's worked out really nice. So I hope someone else got it. I know I didn't. I know I didn't alert to it, just completely missed that. And by here, I think somewhere today I picked it up again. It's just missed up, you know, once it pushed up through $1. I really had to sit there waiting to see if it can pull back, but it's not going to now. It looks like it's just kicking on strong. So that was a beautiful, I mean, technically that's really nice. You know, you've got supply, buyers stepping in, they're all washing out, all this rinsing them back out of the market, all this time through here. Little pop-up, that's a good signal, you know, heads up something's happening. And when this move holds above that 90 zone, that was all awesome, really. So that was one shame of a trade. What else we got? There's FMG. I didn't alert it. We've alerted this one. Has anyone got FMG? And the reason why it was more of an alert as a bit of a heads up of weakness than looking to sell it. Because I know there's people there that do love FMG, you love your miners, but this push up through 2016, it's got up to that key sort of zone up at $7. If you can see it from the monthly, you know, see how previously, I know it's a monthly chart, but the market's pushed up in 2009 through start of 2011, got up through that 7, then backed off from there. So it's a key zone where there's probably going to be a bit of action. You can anticipate to be a bit of action, and we see that level rejected. And the market's pushed down. It's tried to have another go. You can see, if we can get it on the daily maybe, just here. And then we got the lower high. Then it started falling away from there. And probably about that stage, this uptrend, if you follow the alerts we've done on it, this uptrend have actually broken. This uptrend, if you put it, well, actually, let's just draw it. Oh, that's not what I want. I don't like that. Here we go. Let's try that again. All right, so at that stage, what we're looking at here, this uptrend was just starting to fall apart, and you, especially when you've got this little push down through, it's got rejected off 6. It bounced off $6, then rejected, made that lower high, but it had already broken that uptrend, so that was a bit of a heads up. Okay, the anchor level was just down. That anchor level to the uptrend was really just down below $6. And when you started grinding lower again, it was probably a good heads up. And in anticipation that we're going to break down through that anchor level, which it did. So we've had that little retraction there. And you can see we're grinding higher. We've tried to do it. That's stair-stepping higher. And we're struggling around 6, which is really that breakout zone. So to me, that's not the price action you want to see. When it accelerates down, that's showing there's a lot of buying, like that buying fuel in there. There's a lot of people stacked into that market. Not many buyers left, potentially around that $7 level. You run out of supply of buyers, and there's what you've done is actually increase the supply of sellers ready to come out and to take profit, I guess, or just to jump in. You can actually short sell this as well. So there's probably quite a lot of reasons, quite a fuel on the side of the market to sell into it and potentially push this market down. Now, I've had this big washout. You're contracting higher. Once you see that, I'm not a big fan of that, and that's not a sign of strength. And you really want to see it, you'd rather see this push down with a sharp correction and then potentially it grind down to retest the lows. That's ideally what you'd love to see, and then you could work into a long off the lows. But when you see the opposite of grinding higher, that's not strength in buying. So it's always a bit of a heads up, like we could head lower. And we've done that. We've broken down. Just get onto a daily. It's just a good one to talk about, guys. So that's, as soon as we got this capitulation through here, we pushed down through that 550. I think the short side's down, and you've got this little, tried to bounce off 5, and you got a few days, and it started rolling over, and it looks like we could be heading down to 460. But if you draw it out, let's just clean all this up a bit. That there, that's your first leg down. We've had one bounce. When we talk about 2 legs, if that's the case, we're heading from 7 down to say 450. What's that, $1.50 from somewhere around 350 potentially? That could be your next stop, and that could wash out a lot of this buying leg. But still, the longer term could be holding up if that's your secondary leg down. So just keep an eye on that if you are long Fortescue. It is getting a bit extended down here, so there is potential for it to hold up above there, but just keep an eye on it either way. Now, that was the other one. Now, what else do we have? There's a few others. MVP. We've talked about this for quite a while. If you want a nice little setup, I think longer term this one has got some serious legs in it. Look at that price action. If anyone's been following us for a while, this is the sort of stuff. It's awesome. I don't know how to say it. It makes your dream comes true. Look at that that price action. So we've been following this for quite a while. As a bit of a heads up, we do have this. Personally, you can see that market close to, it's washing out. It's just spent a lot of time going sideways. So you had this nice accelerated leg up. You really, your anchor level on that longer term chart. This is a weekly, I think. Yep, that's your weekly. Your anchor level's way down here at $3. What it's done is it's accelerated high. That's on some good news. It's got a unique product. So go and have a quick look if anyone wants to. It is called Spark. The software's called Spark. It's not a cheap package. If anyone's familiar with Iris, it's a lot like Iris. I think it's got a lot of good news on it. You can check out what the company does. You've got profiles of what the companies are. You can see what news flows coming through for each stock, and then you can just basically, the only problem is you can't, what I'm drawing on here, I'm not actually drawing on the charts. Which would be nice. If it would be really handy if they had that functionality, but they don't. So I'll just take a snapshot and then draw on another program. But this here is actually called Spark. You can see down here in the top left, bottom left, if you can see it, which you may or may not be able to. No, my head's in the way. All right. So there you go. Yeah, so what we've done on MVP, mate, really good news. It's some good news flow that's pushed it up to the highs. Spent a good part of over about a year and a half at least. Just washing out. You can see that's pulled all the way back down to the support, and it's just washed out a lot of people. And even this move down, it's just breaking that trend slightly, but now we've just kicked up above a key level at 550. So that looks, if you just, let's just draw all that out, start again. That there is quite nice. You can see that's quite a nice technical pattern if anyone knows, anyone follows that. You can see that buyers have been stepping in here to higher lows, stepping in here. I'll just draw that up a bit nicer actually. So buyers are stepping in around here, they stepped in here, and they stepped in here. Just at higher levels, you can see it's quite clearly. So they're supporting the stock. They're actually absorbing any of that selling that's coming through. And it's only just recently, the last few days, has pumped up through 550. So that's really starting to look good and starting to look ideal for a nice, strong, longer move higher. I'd expect that to go right up through 7. So if you check out what news they do, I think they supply their pain-killing, Penthrox is their product, which they supply to the UK, a lot of the ambulance service in the UK. So it's a long-term contract that's not going anywhere, and it's a big contract too. And they're looking to get it patented in the US as well. So once they get approval, I think it's not the FDA. Anyway, whoever approves it, it could be the FDA, approves in the US, just imagine the market that's going to open up over there as well. So just take a look at this, guys. Keep it on your radar. I reckon it looks really nice. That's the other one. That's your weeklies on that. Look at that nice little move it's set up. And you can see the way, this is the beauty of just knowing exactly where your levels are. Let's just take that there. Now, it's a really nice example. You've had buyers are stepping here. That's the levels we said. You know, a bit of buying in here has pushed it up, but it's still, at that stage, it's still struggling a bit. And you can see it's washed out. We washed out this level, but at that stage, this is your key level down at 460. So until that's broken, that trend is not going anywhere. All right, you're sort of grinding lower. You've got a little lower high here, and you've got some lower highs in here. And that sort of sucks in a lot of these people who have bought the market, but it doesn't break any of the trend. And you can see that trend is still grinding higher. So yeah, you just got to be wary of what's going on, where your key levels are, your key zones, and if they're broken, if they're breached, then potentially you've got to rethink your strategy or rethink your trade. But until they're broken, I'm guessing, just try not to get sucked in by this this selling. You've got to know exactly where your major risk levels are. Anyway, now what else have we got here? I've got a couple others I just want to kick over. Is that making sense, guys, what we're just chatting about? I won't go too much longer, and then you can, yeah, feel free to chuck in any of the charts. Which one? These ones here? Yeah, that was right up just below that 550, wasn't it? It's been pretty strong. I find this is a nice little setup. See this powerful, if anyone, it's more of an aggressive setup. This is probably the key setup that I thought could have dragged in some buying, especially after seeing, you know, higher lows hold, higher lows. And after a washout, it's always nice. This is something I think, if you can put it in your arsenal of setups for when you're trading, this is the kind of structure that I think is really nice. You got acceleration to the high, then a lot of people washed out. You can see that, washing out lower highs, come all the way back down, retest, bang, another acceleration, and that's a strong acceleration right up to some highs again. Then it's pushing down, but you can see the buyers are just soaking it up. There's obviously a lot of supply of buyers out there that are willing to jump in, and they're soaking up with that little push down. You got lower highs, people are still willing to sell it. Once you get this washout and then you get this acceleration back up again, you'd expect, if that's the case, if that's going to prove to be serious weakness, that should go down. There's no doubt about it. It should go down, break that level, potentially target down to that 460 zone. When it doesn't, and you get these little candles, it's getting soaked up, all the volume's getting sucked up from the sellers. So the buyers are really just starting to soak it up again at a slightly higher level, around 5. And that could have been a nice entry through it. It's a bit more aggressive because you've got your MAs, you're an inside level. We haven't broken any serious levels, say, through the 550. That's more of a small risk trade. You can break up through 510. You know exactly where your risk is, potentially 15 cents lower, and you're probably front running at least a test of 540. So what's that? That's at least 2 to 1, I think. So that could have been a nice entry there. And if it didn't work out, you got those dojis, which you said turn around and the market headed south. Okay, you could probably lock in something at least a break-even trade, probably a 1-to-1 trade maybe. But the fact is, you're front running that break of that level. Who knew that was going to happen? And then boom, great little entry through there. It's just a lot more aggressive, probably more aggressive than what I normally look at as well. But it's really got a lot of merit to it. All right, so that was a long spiel on that one. That's a nice little one too. What else we got here? We've got CKF, which I like to set up. Oh, premium before we go. Oh. Premium. If anyone follows PPS, Premium Limited, they do. Well, here you go. The company is involved in the provision of investment administration, SMAs, or separately managed account, and financial planning technology platforms. More of an administration service, whether you can just put in all your trades and you can follow it, you can spit out all your reporting, and they do it for quite a, well, I think approximately $80 billion in funds onto their platform in the different areas. Now they go from strength to strength. They keep, every time they come out and report, good news, the funds are increasing bit by bit. They're doing really well. So that story, whatever they're doing behind the scenes, is really working out well. They've got a good solid platform. So the fundamentals are well and truly there. So we all like a good fundamental story backing some technicals or our supply-demand scenarios. And that's worked out well. You can see that weekly chart. You can see this kick up higher. Okay, washing, holding some higher lows again as buyers just stepping at higher prices, buyers stepping at higher prices, all the way through here. So every time it sort of gets sold off, you get 1, 2 legs down, it's above your key level again, washing out a few of these late buyers. Then buyers start to, these late buyers up here, say towards 50, they're stepping in there, they're getting washed back out of the market, put back on the sidelines, and then the buyers start stepping back in again and holding it up. And you've got this little high low that just below 40 recently, which is just in here. I did like it through a breakthrough there. It was just caught me by surprise, really. I didn't think, and you can see, my old theory, I'm probably being a bit negative, but getting a bit of a heads up in your patterns of buying demand and selling demand when you think there's going to be a news flow, a lot of the times you can see it in the chart. Here you couldn't. I mean, you could look at those last couple of days, bang off that resistance zone, and then they come out with some good news, pop straight through, gapped up, retested through down to 44, 43.5, then boom, the rest of the day it's spent going up. So we missed the boat on that one. It's paid out quite nicely, and it looks like it's going to continue. But look, it's a bit hard to buy it up here. I reckon you'd have to have some sort of washout, flushing some of those traders out of the market again, bit of a pullback, and if you can build a higher low with some nice structure, a nice little entry setup, this one could do quite nicely. But definitely longer term, that's something that's doing well. And it's just broken through those highs, you can see. Previous high was at 53.5 cents. Just broken through that with this push up. Was it today or yesterday? Today. So we might get a bit of reaction off there as we're a bit extended into that zone. And just see if we can react lower when sellers just booking some profits, some shorter term traders booking some profits, and see if we get those buyers stepping back up to the plate again. All right, so that was bit of a missed opportunity too, but that was a tougher one to trade, to be honest. The tough one to swallow is the WHO. That was a nice setup. Everything was just beautiful. And you know when you've got it right, when it kicks on strong. So CK, what was that one? CKF is one I've got my eye on as well. I don't know what anyone thinks of this. It's probably a bit, it can get a bit choppy. You can see these little washouts of key levels. You see the markets move down, bang. Couple of solid down days, and bang, it turned on a dime and went straight back up again. And then it's flushed out again. You can see it's washing out these recent lows just in here at 5 with this green candle open below, bang, straight back up. So it is a tougher one to trade, but if you look at that longer term structure, that's all you got to do. If you look at the weekly chart and you could look at it and go, it's heading higher. It's all about dropping down to the daily just to check out on what's happening on the daily charts. And looking at this, we just look at this structure, this recent structure between the buyers and sellers, the action between the buyers and sellers, supply demand. You can see that's holding some really nice trend up, and you've got this flush out. It does it constantly lower high, it has another secondary move down, bang, you get that nice reaction up. The high low leads to you can see that market's contracting. It's like a spring just coiling in on itself, ready to pop. And when it does, if you can get it at the right time, if your timing's right on, you can get that. You can take advantage of that move higher without being put under pressure. Now, if you just go and sit on the bid, this is where we've talked about entries quite a bit. If we talk about entries quite a bit, it's really important to get your entries in the right zones. Now, what am I trying to say? So if you just go and sit on the bid, for example, which I'm not a fan of doing, okay, you think, oh, it comes down, if it comes down to 4, the whole number, I'll just sit on the bid. You can get lucky, of course, where you would have here if you just sat on the bid at this stage. I just put a buy limit order at $4, so if it trades there, I'm going to be in. You don't know, there's no confirmation at that stage. The market's heading south. There's no confirmation it's not going to keep heading south or bad news comes out. You want to be proven right. You want other people to prove you right, like we said before. And you can see this is really coiling up. You got your high lows, your lower highs. You know at this stage something's got to happen. It's getting to the point where the market's got to break a certain way, and if you can get involved in that, this is aggressive. This little trade through here is less aggressive with more confirmation. This is less confirmation. Good structure though, and the potential is that your payout's going to be a lot better. So the more aggressive trades, if you still pick them off good structure, you can be quite confident in them. Whereas I tend to watch, I like with these sorts of setups, when you've got that pop out of contraction and you just start going with that momentum, and then you really don't get, there's no pressure there at all. That's the daily chart, I think. No, that's a weekly chart. Break through $5, you buy into it, you've got it all the way up to 650 without really, being put under any pressure at all. So what we're seeing here is the market potentially contracting again. You can see the same type of price structure. The market's pushing down. It's pushed down. Some buyers jump back in, push back up, washing them back out of the market, putting them back on the sidelines, and just increasing that supply. Back on the sidelines, ready and raring to go again. And then you've got the market accelerate, so it just breaks. You can see that little level. So that's a good sign that it's respecting this uptrend on the weekly charts. And there's some really, I'm probably a bit early at the moment, but this could turn into something like this. It's just contracting in. And really, I think now it's just a matter of looking to see what's going to happen on the daily charts to see if we can get an entry in a good zone. You can see the power of this move down. It was quite strong from overbought. It come all the way back down to 40%, say, on the stochastic. So that's showing that it's quite a strong move down, but it really hasn't gone too far at all. Oh, let's just get back. That's this move down. It's getting soaked up, so the buyers are starting to soak it up at a higher level, which leads me to believe that we're going to get a nice little setup sooner or later. And that's CKF. So keep an eye on this one. It hasn't set up just yet, but I think the signs are there. If you take it as that, that's your resistance zone. You've got this little breakout. You're starting to hold a higher level. Buyers are soaking up it a bit earlier. If you can hold in something like that, potentially through, bang, there we go, we just drew it up. If you can get something potentially through 620, that's preempting the break of this high at 630, and then you're sort of looking for that push up through to 670, potentially beyond. It's probably just over 1-to-1 if you take it off that trade, or if you can get another setup where it just contracts, you get that minor contraction, that's what you want. If you can get it within here, that contraction within here, that's what I'm trying to show you. That type of setup, that would be awesome. Just below 620, that way you can really refine your entry. Does that make sense there, guys? Anyway, that's a lot of info. So, if there's any questions, before I go, and there's another one that I don't mind, I'll quickly flick onto, is I think these ones are just good examples of, some clear price structure on the longer term. This is probably not as nice, but look at that price action. It's still, respecting that trend high. The longer term trend is up. You could look at that. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket science to figure out what's happening here. To see what the longer term structure is doing anyway, say key level at 2, the market's grinding higher. I mean, that's all you really want to see. Potentially we're at the same market's headed all the way back down. This is flushing out a lot of these buyers from here, all the way back down, and we start holding at a higher level, breaking up again. So that's a good sign. This is buyers stepping in a higher level at 240. Market's starting to push higher, push back up. Then we got a reaction lower, but then you can see it's just held a higher level in here at 265, and we're just broken up and out. So this is MPL. We've been in this Medibank. So keep an eye on this one too, guys. We just go to a daily. We're running out of room in our portfolio, but I'm just sort of give you a bit of a heads up. I really do like this this structure at the moment. I think the weekly, it's getting this move up here is a bit extended. It's had a good push up, and it's only got into that resistance, and it's had a pullback. It's not a strong pullback. If you go into the daily's starting to get extended too. So if we're looking for a break of 308, say, we're probably going to be extended to the upside here. So I would rather see a bit of contraction, flushing a bit of these buyers, flushing them out of the market a bit more. Or we might just turn and head south from here, break down through 290 and build a higher low somewhere around 280, 85. You're still respecting the overall longer term trend, pull back, and then off we go from there. So definitely worth keeping it on the radar, MPL. I think that's pretty much it, what I was looking at. So feel free, guys, to chuck in some stocks. We've got MSB to start with from John, but feel free to chuck them into the chat, and we'll have a look at them just while I have a sip of my coffee. So we've gained 5 points, so that's not so bad. We're kicking along nicely today. Just before we get into it, oh, there we go. So this is what anyone that looks at that intraday on this is a 1 minute chart. Let's look at the 5 minute. So this is an alert we sent out before the SPY futures opened this morning. I just want to flick it over. Bub. No worries, Gary. Look at that. BKL. Are you tooting your horn again there, Helen? So this is what we sent out on the SPY for any intraday traders. This morning, I was actually looking for a bit of a deeper washout initially. I think it closed. Okay, so this red candle here was the open. I thought it'd wash out down first, probably down to this support zone, and then start bouncing up. Instead, we washed out the top side, flush it out. It's really, if you can look at it that way, the longer term trend is up. You can see we've had it move down, contracting down. We're holding higher lows. We've broken up out of that contraction lower, so you're really looking to higher low to buy into. So that's what we're looking at this morning. This move up here is really just clearing the way. You see that contraction lower. Beautiful area in here if you can get it off. I normally go down to a 1 minute chart just to see if I can get an entry when the market's extended to the downside. The 5 minutes, it's come back to the MA, and you can see the target was up towards this level 57.60, which is just touching on now, pretty much right now. So that's turned out quite well. You can see when it's just getting supported through here. There's a high low here, another nice little entry up through here, and you've got that little pop up into 560. So that has turned out well. I hope someone traded that for us. All right, so what do we got? We'll start off with Mesoblast there. Just bear with me 1 second there, guys. Can you just hold on for a second? Just be one tick. All right, back on. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. So, Mesoblast, we've got it on the, that's on a daily. Now that one, there's a couple of reasons why I don't like this. I think this has got a bit more work to do, to be honest. Let's go back to a weekly chart. Look. Let's have a bit of a rundown. So You can see the market's spent a lot of time. I know this is a long way back, and then we had some good news around 2010. Boom, up she goes through $2 all the way up to $9. So $7, you know, which is fantastic towards the end of 2010 and mid 2011. Then we spent the rest of the time just backing off. So all this move up here, anyone that's been buying it up here, built a big position, has all been washed back out of the market again, flushed back out. So potentially we come all the way back down to the start, around $1, between $1 and $2, where it actually started. That's $2 through here, $1 through here. So we're back down to where it was 2009 and 10. All right, we'll go up to the weekly. So that's not a good sign to start with. It's come all the way back down. So you're looking for, I don't know what the fundamental story was behind this, whether, you know, why buyers are just edging out of this. I think, does anyone know the news? I know there was something, I just can't remember what it was, to be honest. Do you know about that, John? There's something that's tipped it over, and that's why sellers just started bailing, pushed it back down again. Whether that's been flushed out of the market and that news, they've dealt with the issues, the problems, and it's starting to potentially build that story again, we'd be looking for a lower high, a higher low just in here. You'd want some sort of buying above that dollar level, you know, around where we are at the moment. And it looks like it's coming, but still the daily's not, it's not showing it on the daily just yet. What is good, we've had that little sharp reaction, you know, after this gap down towards that dollar mark, sharp reaction back up to 3, sorry. Reacted all the way back down and retested that $1 mark, which is not a great sign. But then you can see this curve and type of price action is being quite good, and that's taken us back up and through $3, the previous sort of lower high there. Now, that's popped back up. If we pull all the way back down again, which the market's done, that's not the best of signs. I think it may have a bit of work to do. It may just consolidate down at these lows. I think that's sort of preemptive buying through here, and people are getting a bit excited of what it's done in the past, more than sort of consolidate around those lows and then start to build longer term. I don't think it's had enough time just yet. So that's the most recent move up through that $3 mark up to what it got to, $3.40. Then we've had those lower highs pushing all the way back down again. Sorry, I just got to close something quickly. Oh, that's worked. So market's pushed out. Sorry guys, I just got Skype keeps popping up here. Let me just see if I can close it. Alright, done. So what I'll do, I'll get that back later. Alright. So where are we? Mesoblast. The market's pushed back down. We've come back down too far for my liking. If I was going to be bullish on this one, and you've got a key level just in here, it's around that 190 mark. If that can break, then this trend down is starting to break, it's starting to fall apart, and then you've got your higher low at 130 above $1, you know, from that weekly chart. So your low's around $1. If we build a high low around that mark, so 130 here, we have to break there first. We could easily roll over from here, go straight back down to 1, and then retest that 1 zone, wash it out. I just think it's got a lot more work to do. For me, I have to see that break up through $1.90, say, maybe up to 2, then pull back and consolidate a higher low on the daily chart, which would be an inside higher low on the weekly. And if we get that inside higher low, that might lead to another push up to 3. Does that make sense there, John? But at the moment, there's a few little things I want to see first. I'm not confident with this one at the moment. Oh, I wouldn't be anyway, just with this little pickup. Because don't forget, people can easily just buy it up. And this move up has been quite strong. This little move up since, you know, end of September, off that $1.30 mark. It's been strong, and it's still below a key level at $1.90. So that means, that's saying to me, we're probably going to run out of steam below there. We may break up and through and then pull back, but we look like we could run out of steam up towards that 190 mark. All right, and if that's the case, there could be more selling coming in. You never know. So just keep an eye on it anyway. And I would be just having this on the watch list for now. BKL. Now, what do we got to say about that? We got to say boom, and off she goes. Yeah, that was a bugger, wasn't it? That's just gone pop. Really nice. If anyone sees this here, just this price action here, really strong. you can, if you look at it from a weekly perspective, you've got the markets heading south. You've got this, you know, minor double bottom. I don't say it's a double bottom, and this is where, if we're looking at this weekly chart, oh, actually, I just want to draw something up just to bring it to your attention. It's a technical pattern, which I think people tend to get wrong a bit. Yeah. Oh, this is what I want. We didn't get that, did we? Boom, I haven't watched that since we're talking. So that was happening, that happened yesterday, didn't it? I just want to quickly talk about, this is on the weekly chart, so you got the markets heading south. It's come down to this zone. It's still holding trend down. Nothing's broken just yet, and it's head south. We've got down to here. There's not really, I think the key level's probably way up here, or even, you know, that 1200 mark. This is not a double bottom. You don't call that a double bottom. I know people do. They like to say it's pushed down, it's popped back up, but it hasn't broke any key level whatsoever. If this is your key level right up here to say around 12, you've got to, if you push down, so we're doing that, we want to go up. You go up, you're breaking through a level, and then you come back down to test it. Now that's a double bottom. That's what you want to see. It's not a double bottom if we don't break any sort of key anchor level. All right, once you get that, that's a really bullish sign. You know, you've got buyers stepping in, it's broken up and through a key anchor level, we call it, which is at 1200 at that stage, which is just done yesterday. So for me, if it comes back down and tests there, then we get a major double bottom. But I just want to point that out. This through here is not a double bottom. I don't classify that as a double bottom, you know, touching that $90 twice. So either way, that all said, there's another thing which we've got. I'll go to the daily chart for this, which I think looks really good. Probably just drill that out a bit more. What do I want? This, here we go. Yeah, we were looking for that, weren't we? So you got a level, say that's your key level around 12. The market's pushed all the way up, touched on there. Was expecting, see that as quite strong. I don't like buying. I wouldn't buy up here, especially into a key level at 12. Probably obviously missed the boat, but what is good, if you were looking at it around that stage, I'd rather see a definite pullback. We've got a nice little, we call it a W pattern, and that's some nice buying. The buyers are soaking it up at higher levels. They're really happy to buy it at, say, 115 bucks, and they were holding it around here, and that's just blasted up and through. Oh, we've gone up about eight to 10 bucks, haven't we? 10 bucks. So that's beautiful. That's not a bad little setup. I wouldn't trade that personally. I'd rather see, you know, that pullback and then build it at a lower level, so it's more of a major higher low. But geez, you can't have them all. That's turned out really nice, hasn't it? Did you get on board that, Helen, or it's a bit of a bummer? Or you're just trying to rub it in that we missed another one? All right. Bub. Let's look at old Bubbies. Now, Gary, we were looking at this one. I sent that alert yesterday. I know. Yeah, it probably is a bit thin, eh? So this is Bub. I had this one. Or we had this one, I think. We had it through here. I think we had it through that move. We took a part of that move up, which is a bit of a bummer that we didn't get a lot more of it. What did we get? I'm just going to retrace my footsteps. Oh no, I had this one myself. I traded this myself. I traded it through here, I think up through 30 something, 32. I might have bought it. I bought it somewhere around here anyway. But as usual, I got off. Oh, I can't remember. I think I got off it at somewhere around 50. So I didn't take full advantage of that move up. I missed this secondary push up, which is, again, you kick yourself. But that was a beautiful little setup through July. That was nice. It would have been nice to grab that right up through 90 cents. Maybe about 300% on your money. That would have been awesome. But yeah, missed out on that part. Missed out on the bulk of that move. Still got about 40-50% I think return on that, on what I outlaid, so that's quite nice. You can't knock that back. Would have been nice to see a bit more. All right, so as it stands at the moment, if we just go look at the most recent price action, I've got a feeling that buyers are starting to step back in. And the previous moves up are always good because people remember what's happened in the past. And if you bought it, say here, and you got chopped out a bit, but you like it, or you missed out altogether, you've had this good strong move up, or probably let's take it one step back. Good strong move up here. A lot of this has just washed out, you know, some more players. Some of these late buying, it's washed out a lot of this move. I'm hesitant to guess probably about 50% of that move up we've started retracing. So if you're a Fibonacciist, and it's a 50% retracement, you've hit the 50% fib line. And we're just starting to find that support at 45. So I like that. It's pretty much as of today. If we can draw that up, we've just popped out through the high. So you can see yesterday's price action put right up into resistance. I think it's 55.5, 56. Right up into that resistance zone. We've opened up above it today. So really what I'd be looking for is my old favorite tried and true. Tested, whatever you call it. We've got that pop up now. I want to see, just want to see that sort of price action, or some sort of pullback for a continuation trade, and see if we can jump on board. If it just, this is what's happening a lot lately too. They just kick on without you, and they can do that. They can do that quite a lot, but it seems to be more often than not. We're getting caught thinking, okay, we'll just wait for that shoulder trade, a bit of a pullback to jump into, you know, buying opportunity, and jump on board with the rest of the buyers, and they just go up without us. So there has been a few that have, like I said, WHA. I missed that completely. That was stupid. So, but anyway, that's there's been quite a few that have just kicked on strong without us. We'll look at this one. This is one I think I want to keep an eye on. BUB. Just see if we can get that little pullback, and that brings in, we get that little high low. Say if it, even if it's around 55, you start chopping around here and just look for a nice little breakout, and see if they can push up. And that way, if we do that, we've just come out of the unknown. It's a bit of a heads up. This is not the known yet. Doesn't mean we're going to pop up. We could easily do this type of price action and just wash it out, build a lower high, and then go straight down. That's why I like to work off these higher lows, because that's that. We pushed up out of that consolidation through here. Okay, there's a heads up that maybe we're going to go higher. We're not confirmed anything yet. And if we have that little pullback and build that high low, even if you can get it on a breakthrough here or a break through the highs, that's great. Then you've got that type of price action. That is a good heads up that, okay, we're going higher. And then you start to see things heat up a bit. I think as you see more of that supply that's been put on the sidelines, the buying supply, start to step in and really soak up the selling and just ram the price higher. Or the selling just thins out. No one wants to sell, and you see people chase it higher, and it could potentially go straight up and through $1 from here. So keep an eye on Bub anyway. All right. So anything else you want to take a quick look at, or any questions on just what we've discussed there, guys? Just trying to see where the market's at the moment. Doing nothing. It's grinding its way higher. That's an interesting one. We managed to get a partial out on TAW, if anyone was following that. I hope everyone got that. We were looking at 37.5 originally, and then it opened up and popped up to 38, and it's just pulled back a bit since. That was yesterday, so we managed to get that just after the open at 37.5 yesterday. So that's a nice about 30 or 40% gainer on that for half of it, and we got the rest of it running. We got our stop way back down here. So I know I'd hate to see that come all the way back down. That's what kills me sometimes. But you've got to open it up and just let it run a bit. There's nothing to say this could come back, build a higher low, and then blast up through and just trend up to $1. It's got a lot of room to move on the upside. If you can just pull it back, you can see that it's got, may find a bit of reaction. It still probably could pop up to 40, but you've got this zone through, say, 45 to 50. It could easily just pop up through there and just take off. So keep an eye on old Tor still. Still like that. GTK. It's about to ask how do you spell it. Ooh, nice. What do they do? Smaller one, but definitely Profile. What do they do there, Helen? As developers, specialist software for energy, utilities, water companies, and airports around the world. Offices in New Zealand, Australia, the UK. That's nice. Looks like the volume's just starting to dry up a bit as it's popped up. It's getting a bit extended up here by the looks of it. But nice structure if you just flick it back to the weekly. And that's going up, so really worked for me if I was going to look at trading this. I'd want to see a bit of heat coming out of this market. A bit of these late buys put back on the sidelines. You know, just increasing the supply of buyers ready to go back in again. Yeah, we're a sorry bunch at the moment, aren't we? Yeah, so if we can get that flushing out a bit and then building that high low, say something like this, building a high low, and we got something to trade off, that'd be great. But that definitely is on the way up on the daily, sorry, on the weekly chart. The daily chart is getting a bit extended for me. I wouldn't be buying it just here, obviously. I'd want to see an entry setup where I know exactly where I'm going to define my risk. SM1, let's quickly take a look at that. Ooh. That would have been a tough one. I know personally I find it tough to buy on a breakthrough here. I think it's probably the futures background, the intraday trading background. Exactly. It's the intraday trading background or the futures background when you look at things like this, and I've always got in the back of my head, okay, that's extended up there, and it's I know it's consolidating around those highs. It hasn't done much work for me, and price is extended. It has picked up through, was it 620, 636? You haven't got a lot up your sleeve at the moment, but I'm always expecting with this type of structure, you know, when the market's extended, it's extended way back from $5. It's had a good run up, you know, gapping up and then continually to go higher, going sideways, and then you get that's a nice setup, but I just find it tough to take considering what's happened in the past. I think it's too high a risk for what I would like to see. But in saying that, there's nothing to say. It just can't keep grinding higher. But yeah, I expect more of a wash out of these highs if I was looking at this. If I was looking at that stage when on this green candle, I would expect more of a washout, which is a bit of a bugger. At that stage on that candle, if I was going to see, oh, if it's going to push up through there, I would expect that it was going to be a washout, and then maybe just dragging a few of those late buyers and then washing back out with a decent correction and then look for your high low, but it didn't play out that way at the moment. Yeah. All right, let's probably call it a day there, guys. Thanks very much for joining us. If there's any questions, if you haven't asked them now, you can feel free to send through emails to support@tradesetup.com.au. Just send us through an email if you've got any questions, or if there's something you want to have a quick chat about. Send it through and I'll get back to you. Otherwise, if you've got some ideas, if you've got something with your trading that potentially I could help with, and you think it might be a nice topic, just send it through an email and we'll look at having a chat about it. Otherwise, we'll just continue the way we're going. But thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back in on Monday at 12:30 again. So I hope you all have a great weekend. We'll see you then. Cheers, guys. Bye.